Radio check, loud and clear, loud and clear. Testing 1, 2, 3. All right, you guys should be able to hear me. I was just having a little bit of issues, so apologies for the 1 minute delay. Alrighty then. So, free practice 2 should be starting in 29 minutes' time. Now, there are some rumors flying about that potentially the session is going to get delayed because of heavy rain in Singapore. If anyone is at the Singapore Grand Prix circuit right now, or is just in the vicinity of at Singapore, how heavy is it raining? Because I was watching a broadcast, it isn't exactly showing me what is going on. So it'd be fantastic to get some, on the ground information from people who are actually there. So if there is anyone in Singapore, feel free to let me know. Or if you want to send me a DM or something, my Instagram is f1_gamer_5, and yeah, be sure to send it to me. All right. Not raining yet. Okay, well that's good then. That's good. So 30 minutes now till we get underway for free practice 2. I shall recheck the weather forecast as well, and see what it says. Marina Bay weather. Oh, precipitation chances they've gone down a little bit actually. So it looks like about a 35% chance of rain for the session. So yeah, the way that it sort of works is that, well, I'm not a meteorologist, not a weatherman, but in sort of in the region of Singapore, that sort of near Singapore, Malaysia, those sort of areas, we get very very sudden thunderstorms. Like out of nowhere, it will start raining super heavily, and then it will stop. Within the space of an hour, 2 hours, and there's this sort of cycle. So as of right now, we don't know exactly when the rain is going to arrive, if it is going to arrive, but I can tell you for one thing, if the rain does arrive, it's going to be super duper heavy, and the track is going to go from dry to wet almost within the space of 1 minute, so 1 minute 30 seconds. Within one lap, it's going to go from full dry conditions to full wet conditions. That's sort of what we are going to expect, and yeah, it's going to be very, very exciting. The teams, of course, they'll be trying to get out as soon as possible to sort of avoid this rain and try to get as much running done as possible. But, yeah. All right. Ivan is just going to follow me on Insta, give him live updates. Oh, that is fantastic. Okay. Well, thanks for... We've got quite a few people, actually, from Singapore in the chat today. So, yeah. Thanks for tuning in. Even though you could probably watch the race from one of the bridges, at least that's what I've been told. You can go to one of the sort of like the sky. I don't know if sky bridges is the right word, but there are some bridges pretty high up in Singapore. You can see, you can see the cars from a distance. Of course, you're not going to be able to make out everything and which drivers where and stuff like that, but you still get to enjoy the Formula One experience. I think that's sort of the beauty of going to a city. Even if you just live in Baku, there's still a very very high chance that you could go to one of your friends' houses or something and watch the race or from nearby. Hi, Phone Gamer from FP1. What happened? What happened in FP1? Not all that much. Fernando Alonso top of the times because El Plan is back in action. No, it's just Fernando Alonso really just doing a bit of a glory run, where he was just on low fuel by the looks of it, and had a really good lap though, and managed to put his Aston Martin up in first position. Okay. When was the last time we got rain in Singapore? Well. I would say that was 8 years ago now, 2017 Singapore Grand Prix. I think we had rain at the start of the race. It was intermediate tyre conditions, and I think we all know how that went down, don't we? Max Verstappen, Sebastian Vettel, and Kimi Raikkonen had a coming together, and was there rain in 2022? I guess I must have forgot about that one actually. Maybe there was then. But the one that I remember was 2017. I think the one that most people remember, 2017, with the Ferraris and Max Verstappen colliding on the opening lap of the race. What an exciting race that was. I think we'll get something similar, really, if it does rain this weekend. But the forecast is sort of indicating that the rain is going to arrive before the race rather than at the race itself. Okay. Yeah, Stroll unfortunately was down in 18th position actually, with Fernando Alonso all the way up there in first. Stroll down in 18th, and what, about 1.9 seconds off the pace. So yeah, Stroll was having some issues with his car by the looks of it, and then yeah had to well, just had a skill issue really. I don't know where I was going with that one. Alex Albon had brake issues with his car. It wasn't engine issues like I said in FP1, so do apologise for that. And yeah, the correction is it was just brake issues for Albon, and he was out of the session for the entire duration of FP1 because of those brake issues. Any chance there'll be inters during the race start? Well, it really depends on the forecast. So it could be intermediate conditions on the race start, because the way that the forecast is looking, it's going to be raining probably 3 hours before the start of the race. And if it rains super hard 3 hours before, it typically will probably be intermediate conditions for the race. So still a little bit undecided, still a little bit unsure, of course, but we shall see. Okay. Shivanash, I'd appreciate it if you didn't type every message 3 times. Um, yeah, didn't type every message 3 times. Right. F1 Gamer, will you miss DRS next year? Because yeah, because we're not gonna have DRS next year, are we? So yeah, I kind of miss it really. I think it was well, we've talked about DRS so much. The drivers getting within that 1 second window, and the other thing is that next year it's called overtake mode or something, or well, it's called overtake mode, but the official name is mom mode or something, like MOM, and they need to change that name, to be honest, because like when I'm doing race commentary, I'm like, oh, Max Verstappen just slipstream and DRS past whoever. I'm not going to be saying, oh, Max Verstappen, slipstreamed and used mom mode to overtake Oscar Piastri. Like that's just not going to really work. So it needs to change. But we'll probably come up with a different name for it ourselves, like the Formula One community. So who knows? Why did Albon not go out in FP1? He had brake issues. Yeah, manual override mode. Well, yeah, I guess manual override sounds super cool. Oh yeah, like Max Verstappen utilized the manual override. Like it sounds like cool in sort of like a Fast and Furious kind of way, where it doesn't really seem all that realistic. But manual override. Ooh, but well, I guess we'll see. Maybe they'll come up with a different name for it next year. What else have we got to talk about? Yuki Tsunoda, not all that far off the back of Max Verstappen today, so he was looking pretty good. And yeah, on his when he does do a soft tyre run, he should be getting pretty close to Max this weekend. And another thing is that the Williams this weekend don't seem to be all that strong. Of course, Albon down there in 20th, Sainz in 8th. They're not the best at these high downforce tracks, and Aston Martin do sort of have the edge on them, so we shall see how that works out for them. Someone asked, what is the 10k likes for? I'm sort of predicting that we're going to be hitting 200k subs on the race stream, so the target would essentially just be hitting 10,000 likes on the race stream, and then also hitting 200k subs as well. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure if everyone subscribes right this moment, we could hit 200k subs right now, and yeah. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I have got a webcam set up. It has arrived now, so it's set up. I've used electrical tape to just stick it on top of my monitor, and I will be pressing the show webcam button when once we hit 200k. Yeah. Okay. I think I've just updated the like counter there. Oh. Is it going to rain tomorrow? Tomorrow, no. The rain doesn't look like it's going to be raining tomorrow. The rain doesn't look like it's raining tomorrow. The forecast doesn't look like it's raining tomorrow. Yeah. But on Sunday, it looks like it is going to rain. Yeah. How old are you? Well, I guess you'll find out on Sunday. You can just look at me and guess. I guess. I don't know. What else have we got? Overtake mode. Oh, I don't know. I guess we'll see. If you guys have got any better names, then do let me know. What do they call it in Formula E? In Formula E, they have a mode or something like that. Is it called fan boost mode or something in Formula E? I can't remember actually. All right. Let's run through a few other things. Well, of course, the first thing that everyone's really sort of thinking about, the Drivers' Championship. I'll just bring up the standings here. You can see, let's make them ever slightly bigger. And we have got Oscar Piastri here, 324 points to his name. He is 25 points ahead of Lando Norris. That is one full race win ahead of Lando Norris, but he's actually got 2 full race wins more and 1 more podium as well. We've got Max Verstappen there in 3rd place with only 4 wins to his name this season and 8 podiums as well. He's a little bit far off the back. If you do look at the sort of gambling companies, the gambling companies think that Max Verstappen has an 11% chance of winning the championship. So take it that what you will, but the gambling companies, at least they know a little bit about the sport because they have to make money off it, so they have a vague idea of what's going on. And then Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri, of course, have the 2 highest chances, and I don't really know how it's going to go for Norris really, because he has got a lot of pace, on the right day at the right time, but the consistency that is required for a championship is maybe just not there really. We'll see if he can be quicker than Piastri. But Piastri, if you exclude his DNF from Baku, before Baku, he had got 42 consecutive points finishes in a row. And that was that was getting close to Lewis Hamilton's record. I think Lewis Hamilton has the record of 48 races in a row that he has scored points in. And yeah, Hamilton, I think, holds the record, actually. So Oscar Piastri is getting dangerously close. And just showing you his consistency, because, as I've said before many times, the championship is not won on your best day. If you can put together an amazing, sensational lap on one occasion throughout the season, that's not going to win you the championship. Your performances throughout the season, and, if your worst possible day is still a P3 position or a P2, that is what wins you a championship. It's not, your worst day being P17 and then your best day being P1. That's just wildly inconsistent, and you're not going to have anywhere near enough points to win a championship that way. So who knows? All right, 17 minutes now till we get underway. Let me also put up the constructor standings. And as you can see there, we have got McLaren way out in the lead. Mercedes are now 2nd place. They are 4 points ahead of Ferrari. So yeah, Ferrari, they'll be doing the best that they can to regain those 4 points and to stay ahead of the Mercedes team, because, well, yeah, 2nd place is going to give a lot more prize money than 3rd. Red Bull also aren't that far off by the looks of it, because Max Verstappen has won the last 2 races in a row. So maybe Red Bull are in with a shot of potentially 2nd place. Things would have to go in their favour, but it could happen. Then looking further down the pack, we've got Williams in 5th with 101 points, RB with 72, Aston Martin with 62, and Kick Sauber with 55. They're a little bit out of the running, are Kick Sauber, but Aston Martin with 62 have a very small chance. They're going to need a perfect weekend this weekend. Ideally a 1-2 position, but if they can't get a 1-2, then I'd probably say if they can score a solid 6th and 7th position for the 2 Aston Martin drivers, that would put them on the right track to getting back up towards the Williams team and getting that 5th place on them. RB as well, this might also be a bit of a damage limitation race for them, because they aren't that good in the high downforce tracks. They are much better in the high speed tracks. So yeah, we'll see how that plays out for the RB team. Okay, has it started? No, we're 15 minutes away. And yeah, we'll be getting the data coming through on the screen shortly. Can win it in you can win the championship without even getting a race win. You can always, if you always get 2nd and 3rd position, and the person who wins every race isn't always winning, so it's always a different person that comes in 1st place. You can always win by just getting 2nd place every single time. So yeah, pretty interesting. Yeah, Oscar DNF last race. It's only, I think it's fair if you DNF this race, only to make it fair. You know what I mean? No, I don't think that's going to happen. I think at this point, it should be fine. And they are going to be ignoring team orders till the end of the season, most likely. Alonso's feeling 2008. Yeah, yeah. Alonso will be, he'll be looking to, well, win this race. And if Lance Stroll has to crash out for that to happen, then, so be it. But also, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah, this is another sort of, I don't know how many people are going to get this, but technically, if you think about it really, really hard, Lewis Hamilton's first win was actually in a Ferrari car. It wasn't, in the McLaren. You've got to think back. If anyone can sort of explain why I've just said that, then that'd be fantastic. You need elite wheel knowledge to understand that one, I think. Yeah, but do let me know. I'm sure a lot of people will know, but Colapinto is going to crash into the wall. Yeah, maybe Colapinto is going to crash into the wall. Who knows? Oh yeah, Ivan, I've just got your message here on Instagram. I mean, you sent it about 15 minutes ago, but I will yeah. Spygate, yeah, 2007 knowledge required. Exactly. For any of you folks that don't know what I was sort of referring to, what I was essentially talking about was that that Fernando Alonso had, oh no, not Fernando Alonso, sorry, the Ferrari team had got their documents leaked, their internal documents leaked to the McLaren team, and McLaren had used their documents to, oh wait, was it the other way around? No, I'm pretty sure it was that way around, and to design their car. So, if you think about it, then yeah, McLaren copied the Ferrari car. So in essence, Lewis Hamilton was driving a Ferrari at that time, and then McLaren got handed a 100 million pound fine or 100 million euro fine or something like that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, 11 minutes remain of this countdown. I was about to say 11 minutes remain of this session. No, 11 minutes remain till we get underway for free practice 2. We should also be getting the data for free practice 2. There we go. Fantastic. Yeah. Copy my homework but change it a little. Indeed, that is it's probably the best way of putting it, isn't it? Let me have a look what the lap record is around the Singapore Grand Prix. Um I think the lap record here, let's have a look. Well, the race lap record was set by Daniel Ricciardo in last year, a 1 minute 34 lap. But I think in terms of, I can't actually find it, what the quickest lap ever recorded around Singapore was. Um, It might have been. I think it was last year's time actually, because you've got to remember the circuit has changed its the circuit layout has been changed. If we go back to this track map here, you can see that here there used to be a few more corners. After turns, this straight here, that used to have, I think, 3 corners involved. So the lap times went from about 145s down to the 130s. And there are a few other things that have been changed. So the track has been constantly changing. So I think for this current track layout, I think the quickest lap was last year's pole time. Yeah. Okay. Who gets the money when the teams are fined? Do they split it amongst the FIA members? I think what happens is the FIA just sort of take it into their accounts, and then it gets used for like whatever the FIA does. So like, well, the FIA pays its, oh no, it doesn't pay its stewards. The stewards are volunteers, but the FIA, does all the safety testing, and it looks forward into the next year's designs to sort of try and work out what's the best way forward for Formula One and stuff like that. So that money goes towards the FIA, which is slightly different to Formula One, which are the people that run the sport. The FIA are sort of the governing body that decide the safety regulations, but they don't decide which track are we going to race at and stuff like that. Who thinks we should add back the turn 9-10 corner, the flying one? Yeah, I mean, the Singapore sling was quite infamous back in the day. Had resulted in quite a few drivers crashing, especially on their qualifying laps. But I'd say it's a bit of a, I don't know. I mean, it's just a difficult corner to take. The drivers will take it pretty cautiously, so they could add it back in. But I think this current layout is also not bad, really. That's why Lewis's 2018 lap was a 136. Yeah, it's changed that dramatically. Yeah, exactly. It's quite a big difference. You're getting rid of three corners, and they were all pretty slow speed corners as well. So you get rid of three corners and add a straight in. It is going to have a big difference on the lap time. Also, I'm going to have a quick sip of water. Give me just a sec. Okay. F1 Gamer, I saw a post about someone complaining that only Red Bull has two teams. Any opinions? Well, you see, sort of the thing is that the Red Bull team, obviously does have two teams, and they're very sort of closely linked. But in the past, we have had Haas and Ferrari, Haas and Alfa Romeo. Oh, sorry, no, Ferrari and Alfa Romeo, Ferrari and Sauber. We've had Mercedes and Williams. They've all been, and Mercedes and Racing Point, they've all been very closely linked. But, these teams do operate at totally different sort of, totally different teams. Like, they're not, it's not like you can just work at Red Bull and, oh, I'll go down to the Racing Bulls factory and see what they're doing, and then they swap around and share knowledge. It's very strictly sort of regulated about what they can and can't share. And yeah, I don't think they have that much more of a partnership than let's say Ferrari and Sauber do. They share the engine, but that's about it. So yes, there may be some minor things, but the thing is, the FIA knows that Red Bull is the only team that has this, and because of that, they have got some pretty strict rules in place saying that you can't just go over to your friends, go over to the other team's factory and just say, oh, we'll have a look at all your designs. Like that none of that is actually happening. So yeah. F1 Game, have you seen the new Madrid circuit? Seems fast. I haven't actually seen the new Madrid circuit. I thought there was a corner that was a roundabout in the Madrid circuit. Madrid F1 track. I shall have a look. If it seems like a Monza 2.0, well then, it has got a lot of high-speed corners actually. Should be a good racetrack. A bit interesting that they've added a roundabout as part of a Formula One. They've actually added two roundabouts as part of a Formula One racetrack, which I think will be a first. We would have had a roundabout actually in where is it? If there's a race in Hanoi in Vietnam, we would have had a roundabout there. But I think this is going to be the first roundabout on a Formula One track. Okay. Or if for our American viewers watching, a roundabout is a traffic circle. I think that's what they call it in America. Yeah. Morning, mate. Live here from Bortoleto. Any news about Bortoleto and Audi? Well, not really. No. They're of course going to be continuing on Bortoleto and Hulkenberg, and I think it's a good idea, really, that Bortoleto has been performing quite well, and Hulkenberg's got the experience to push Audi forward. Of course, it would be ideal with having another experienced driver there alongside Hulkenberg, but I think Bortoleto is learning quickly, and he should be good to drive for Audi next year. Yeah. Oh, do you call them roundabouts in America too? Okay, well, I do apologize. I thought it was I thought they call them traffic circles, but um, I guess it's roundabouts. I learn something new every day. All right. Also, track temperatures going down. That's another thing. So it is now starting to get dark in Singapore. The sun has set, and because the sun has set, it's getting colder. Surprise, surprise. But that also means track temperature, which was a little bit earlier on in the day, 35 degrees, is now down to 32, and it will be expecting it to drop further and further as the session goes on. So we'll be getting cooler track conditions, which is obviously much more ideal for the drivers pushing nice and hard and to get their quali laps in. So, yeah, just good news all around, really. Good news all around. AF1 Gamer, I have a question. Can't the FIA have ex-drivers as a head or to lead them as reason for being experienced and understand how teams and sports operate? Yeah, so they do quite often have ex-drivers part within sort of the stewarding world and the sort of the FIA world as well. It's not just random people that have got roles in health and safety. They do take input from drivers, but I think you do make a valid point. It would be if Seb Vettel was running the FIA, or not running the FIA but had a major sort of leadership position within the FIA, I think a lot of things would be changed sort of in the correct direction, rather than moving towards things that we don't really want, moving to things that racing decisions that aren't fair and stuff like that. So there's a valid point to be made about having more racing drivers and more racing driver involvement. And another thing is, I wish the FIA just paid the stewards, because the stewards are all sort of like a voluntary thing, and they're different stewards throughout the season as well. So in a Formula, not in a Formula One, in a football match, the World Cup football matches that go on, you have to have the best of the best referees that have the most experience and then also are unbiased. If you've got a a football match between Germany and England or whatever, you'll have I don't know, like a Canadian referee or something. So just try and keep it as unbiased as possible. So I would think that having potentially, maybe a MotoGP driver or a Formula E driver or an endurance driver as part of the stewarding team, someone that has retired but also wants to continue on in motorsport, would be a fantastic choice to keep them on for the entire season long. So it's consistent. You don't have, you have the same referees, if you're playing in the Premier League in the UK, you have the same referees for the entire season, and they get paid, they get trained, and they're experts at what they do. So I think having that added into Formula One would be a very good idea. But who knows? Okay. Are there new DRS zones? No, there have been 4 DRS zones for quite a while here at Singapore. Ever since they changed around the circuit layout, we have had 4 DRS zones. Okay. Everyone has a bias, changed my mind. Yeah, no, I mean, everyone does have a bias. Everyone has their own experiences and stuff, but there is also levels to bias. Some people will obviously be more biased. If Seb Vettel was on the racetrack right now, I would be the most biased commentator that you've ever met. But since he's not, I am a little bit less biased. So I think that's important to. That's an important distinction to make. Any opinions about Hadjar in Red Bull for 2026? Well, you see, the thing is, I think Hadjar would be fine if he got promoted up to Red Bull in 2026, or demoted, depending on how it goes. But the thing is that Tsunoda is going to be designing this car for 2026. He's going to be doing the simulator work. In these 2-week breaks, so between now and the next Grand Prix, there's a 2-week break. Tsunoda's going to be in the simulator. He's going to be driving around the car, giving some feedback. I think maybe we should change this. Maybe we should focus a little bit more on the suspension, whatever. And then getting Isaac Hadjar into the car, firstly, will not be ideal in terms of, he won't have designed the car in the way that he likes. But also, Tsunoda will have just spent all of this time developing a car spent all of this time developing a car that he's just not even going to drive, which is firstly, a little bit rude, but of course Red Bull does not care about that. But then Tsunoda, is he going to go back to racing bulls? It just seems a little bit a little bit stupid to just keep switching them around and not giving them a firm sort of, you're going to be doing this for one season, you're going to be doing this for one season. I don't know. But anyway, we've got the timer ticking down now, and we have got the drivers that should be making their way out onto the session, onto the circuit very, very soon. Let me get rid of this countdown timer. All right. Okie dokes. Is it not FP2? It's in the news. Rain or no rain? Is it raining? Well, by the looks of it, I don't think it is, but I will double check. If the session has not been delayed, but nobody's coming out onto the track for whatever reason. I would have expected them to come out onto the track pretty quick. Let me just double check my broadcast footage, or is it raining? It doesn't say. Yeah, it's not raining. But nobody's coming out onto the track for whatever reason. As you can see here, it says no rain at the bottom of the screen. So yeah, it is not raining. The FIA updates that pretty quickly actually when they start to see raindrops on the track. But we're getting drivers coming out very, very shortly. It's not long before we'll be having someone running on the track. F1 Gamer, would you be surprised if Max won it? Yes, I would be actually, because Max has been doing great, and he's on a roll. Got a lot of momentum behind him, but those are at two very high speed circuits. This is very much the opposite. So if Red Bull can get close, can win this race, then I'm going to be super surprised, and then Max is also going to have a very good chance of getting second place in the constructors. Maybe not first, and not in the constructors, in the drivers. But yeah, I don't know. It's a tough one to say the least, really. We'll see how he does. Nico Hulkenberg, first driver out onto the track. Good to see. Please disable adverts. Yeah, I just missed the button to click the block advert. So do apologise there, folks, if any of you got any adverts in those 10 seconds or so. All right. Yeah, the rest of the drivers making their way out onto the circuit then. Brilliant. Let's see. David Souza, F1 Gamer, do you travel much, for instance, by train to Europe locations? No, not really. Mostly I've just sort of stayed in the UK. Yeah. Would be nice. I don't know. Maybe at some point, might go to Spa. Maybe for the 24 hours of Spa, that'd be pretty cool. But no, I haven't done all that much traveling, to be honest. Thoughts on Arvid Lindblad to VCARB? Well, I think it'd be all right, but the question is, who's going to go then? Is it going to be Liam Lawson? Is it going to be Isaac Hadjar? Is it going to be Yuki Tsunoda? Which one of the drivers are going to go to make way for Arvid Lindblad? And also, Arvid Lindblad is looking good in terms of his pace, but he is very similar, if not slightly even worse than Max Verstappen, to be honest, in terms of his how often he crashes in that sort of sense, because Max, at the start of his career, he did have a lot of incidents with people, and in fact, we've seen quite a few press conferences of Max getting asked, why do you crash with so many people so often and stuff like that. But that ends up, it's all right in the end. Max has found his feet in Formula 1. But Arvid Lindblad, even in Formula 2, sometimes, in Monza, for instance, he was just trying to overtake someone and then totally missed his braking point by about 20-30 meters, going into Ascari, crashed into the back of someone, did another very similar thing going into turn number 1 at the start of one of the races as well. So I think for Arvid Lindblad to be promoted up into Formula 1 still has a little bit more maturing to do as a driver before he can, properly find his feet in Formula 1, I should say, yeah. What happened with Max Verstappen of him being promoted up to Formula 1 when he was 16, when he was 17, that is a one-off occurrence, and a one-off occurrence that has turned out well. And I think Max is sort of the exception to that rule. If you put any 16-year-old in a Formula 1 car, any 16-year-old that's in Formula 2 and Formula 3 right now, they're not going to have the same thing to what happened to Max. And he was the exception to that rule. And So you do have to be very, very careful in making this decision. Oh, let's promote a 17-year-old. Let's promote someone really young who isn't as experienced into Formula One. Okay. Yeah, we've got Albon out onto the track. Good to see. So his brake issues have been resolved. Whatever problems he was having in free practice 1 are fixed. Okay. Best way I found to travel in Europe is Ryanair or rental car. Yeah, Ryanair is actually pretty cheap, actually. Their flights are ridiculously cheap, to be honest, sometimes. What does Sector 1 US mean in the live data? What it means is Sector 1 is split into even smaller sectors, and every time a driver passes through a timing board, it will measure whether that's quicker than their personal best, slower than their personal best, or fastest out of all the drivers. So in the same way that we have colours for sectors, green sector is personal best, we have the same thing in all of these mini sectors here. The track is split into even smaller parts to give you sort of a real good feeling for where the drivers are gaining lap time and where they aren't. And, sometimes, we saw, I think, from Fernando Alonso at one point, he had set pretty much every single mini sector to go purple because he was just on such a good lap. And you can see Norris here in the final stages of Sector 1 gained a lot of lap time. The final stage of Sector 1 is here. So what does that indicate to us? Lando Norris probably got a toe on that lap through the first sector. Yeah. So, these are the little things that you can gain out of that information. Is Bortoletto stuck or is his tracker broken? Well, let's have a look. Bortoletto, oh no, he's carrying on moving, so he should be okay. I've also realised that I have added a little bit too much of a delay to the stream. I've got a 30-second delay on the stream, which is normally only at 10 seconds. So I should probably get that fixed for free practice 3. But yeah, I can't change that during the live stream, unfortunately. So yeah, I will. So if I'm replying to your chat messages ever so slightly late, it's because the delay is higher than normal. Okay, we've got Tsunoda up into 8th position there, and he's still 1.2 seconds off the pace, 1 second off his teammate. Antonelli, however, top of the pack, which is good to see there from Antonelli. Of course, I don't think he will have raced here before in Formula 2, so yeah, it's going to be a first time in Singapore for all of the rookies, and they're going to have to get used to this one, aren't they? So Bortoletto, Colapinto, Antonelli, and Behrman, they're all going to have to... and Hadjar as well, and Lawson probably, I think. They're all going to have to get used to the Singapore street circuit. Don't really expect them to be beating their teammates this weekend, but, Bortoletto has got a pretty strong record of beating Hulkenberg, so maybe Bortoletto will still do it. All right, I'm going to have a quick sip of water. I'll be back in a sec. Okay. What do you think about having more sprints on the calendar? Well, I think sprint races are good at certain circuits. The fact that we've got a sprint race next year at Singapore is quite possibly one of the most stupid ideas that I've ever heard of. But, we move because sprint races, I think it's good to have sprint races at purpose-built racetracks because it does give the fans, more money, more value for what they paid for. They've paid to come on a Saturday. They get to watch a race as well, not just qualifying. It's good for the fans, and I've sort of come around to the idea of sprint races. Initially I wasn't the biggest fan of them, but as of right now I think they're all right if done at the correct circuits. If you do them at Interlagos, if you do them at Silverstone, if you do them at Spa, then it makes a little bit of sense. But if you do them at Monaco or in Singapore or in Imola, then you're really not going to get the maximum enjoyment, lots of overtakes. It's just not going to be a very interesting race, to be honest. So if you do a sprint race at a good track, I'm all for it. If not, then... and I also think there should be a limit of 5 sprint races a season. There shouldn't be too many sprint races, to be honest. we've already got a lot of load on the mechanics, on the engineers that are working, around the clock to make sure that these cars are at the absolute limit of what they can be at each circuit. And adding a sprint race in just makes it all the more difficult, and all the more high pressure for everyone involved. So yeah, but Piastri currently top of the times, and Lando Norris looks like he might beat that one, actually. Purple in the first sector, purple in the second sector. In fact, he's 4 tenths quicker than Piastri in the middle sector. That is, wow, really, really good. And Sainz is 2 tenths quicker. Norris has just got some sort of tricks in the middle sector. I don't know what it is, if it's extra commitment, or if he just starts pushing extra hard in the practice sessions, but his middle sector times are really astonishing. He does lose out a little bit in the final sector, but, if he gains 4 tenths in the middle sector and only loses 1 tenth in the final sector, that's still a-okay, and a good decision to make. So Lando Norris looking pretty racy, and the McLarens, as expected, they've taken out the sandbags and they are back at the top. F1 Gamer, any opinions on the cars getting bigger? Well, I think the cars should get smaller, really. Oh, we got a yellow flag. Who's that? Antonelli? No, continues on. Okay. My opinions on the cars getting bigger and bigger. Yeah, I think we should make the cars as small as we possibly can, because realistically, that's how we're going to get better racing. And another idea that I sort of had was, if you look back to previous sort of years in Formula One history, the cars, the tires that they had on the cars were actually so much narrower than the tires that we have today. So, you can make the tyres narrower, you can make the cars slightly narrower and make them less long. There's a load of different things that you can trim. If you can trim 5%, 10% off every single little piece of the car, then we could have a much, much better racing at these sort of narrower street circuits. Yeah, so I don't know. It could be done, but it's down to the FIA, really. Okay. F1 Gamer, thoughts on Leclerc changing teams? Well, I don't really know where Leclerc would go. That's the problem. Leclerc is a fantastically quick driver, as we all really know, but where is he gonna go? He's already sort of not struggling, but Ferrari's not really helping him out. So, what's the sort of situation that you do there? All right, Verstappen second place there. He's a 10th back from Lando Norris, not too shabby. My TV broadcast said delayed. Yeah, well, I don't know. Your TV broadcast must be wrong then. I think there were rumors that it was going to be delayed, but it never came to fruition because the rain simply has not arrived yet. Yeah. Also, folks, be sure to hit the like button as well. It goes a long way. Hopefully, we can make our way towards 1,500 likes. And also, if you're not subscribed, be sure to do so. If we could get to 198k subs today, that would put us on track for 200k by Sunday. So we are 381 subscribers away. So be sure to subscribe, folks. Very much is appreciated. Oh, Liam Lawson, Isaac Hadjar, third and fourth position for them. Solid job from the both of them. And they're both quicker than Yuki Tsunoda. Tsunoda is currently on an out lap, I think. Or he's on a cooldown lap, actually. His previous lap was about 6 tenths off the pace compared to... 5 tenths off the pace compared to the V-carbs. So, yeah, Tsunoda's got a lot of work to do. Is it cold or hot in Singapore? Well, it depends where you're from, but 28 degrees air temperature, humidity at 78%. So I would say it's pretty hot, yeah. Yeah, it's one of those tough circuits. There was, in fact, a heat hazard warning issued by the FIA. Essentially, it would be a little bit dangerous for the drivers unless they have their sort of cooling vests on. And we'll see if the teams opt to use that sort of cooling vest. But we've got Charles Leclerc up there in 5th position. And yeah, no, what was I saying about the heat is that, some drivers get affected a lot worse by it. All of these drivers do have very similar sort of training schedules and training styles and methods and whatever, plans. But some drivers, if you've always grown up in, the rainy days of the UK, then you are going to get affected a lot worse by the heat in Singapore than if you were, out in the sun in Australia every day of your childhood. So that will, some drivers will feel it a little bit more, and yeah, some of them may opt to have a cooling vest installed on their car. It does add, I think, a few extra kilograms or something, but then they can take the ballast off. So we'll just have to see how it goes really for them, but I'm sure the drivers will figure it out. All right. Sainz up there in 2nd position. Hamilton purple 1st sector. All right, Alonso. Ooh, 2nd place for Fernando Alonso. 27 milliseconds back there from Lando Norris. Very nice job indeed. And here we've got Piastri on a flying lap, and so is Hamilton. All right. So let's, in fact, go on board here with Lewis Hamilton. Hits that apex super nicely, does he? And now heading towards turn number 13. Charles Leclerc gets out of the way nicely. Hamilton avoids the pillar that Charles Leclerc actually hit on one of his earlier laps in FP1. Then continuing towards turn number 14, Lawson gets out of the way. Nice apex there for Hamilton as he continues on through the 3rd sector with DRS wide open as he heads towards turn number 16. Middle sector time isn't purple, but it's only a 10th off Oscar Piastri. Piastri crosses the line, goes up into 1st position. Hamilton, 2 corners left for him, and we'll see what the Brit can do. Across the line, 2nd position, splits the McLarens, but probably not for long because Norris has just gone purple in the 1st sector. He's just gone purple in the 2nd sector, and he has got a clear 3rd sector left for him to complete. Yeah, Piastri's middle sector was strong, but then Norris has again got a 10th quicker, so I don't know what Norris is doing in the middle sector. I'm sure someone's going to do some analysis overnight and see what line he's taking. But, in fact, not enough there for Lando Norris. His final sector was 3/10 off the pace. He had a totally clear track, and he was 3/10 off the pace in the final sector. I don't know how that has happened, but he ends up 7 milliseconds back from Oscar Piastri. It could be an overheating problem, to be honest. You push too hard in sector 1 and 2, and you start feeling overheating in sector 3. Track temperature is at 32 degrees Celsius. It's not going to get all that much cooler as the day goes on. Well, as the night goes on, shall I say. But we'll probably have it dip down to 30 degrees or so. Yeah. Wait, F1 Gamer, you're going to do a face reveal? Lol, I might sub them, brother. Well, I think you're already subbed because you have to type in the you have to be subbed to type in the chat, I'm pretty sure. Or maybe I turned that setting off, I'm not 100% sure. Oh, yellow flag, George Russell, turn 16, 17. There's a barrier there on the exit at turn number 17, but it looks like George Russell has managed to avoid it and is continuing on. Looks like he's going to go into the pits, though. Yeah. Alrighty then. Yellow flag is still deployed. It looks like there might be some debris there from whatever George Russell did. I don't know exactly. Oh, his front wing. Russell has lost his front wing. Oh, what's he done there, man? Locked his brakes up into the... Okay, I've got a replay here, folks. Let's get the replay up. So, I shall take you through a flying lap of Singapore. Okay, so here we are then. Heading towards turn number 16. And... this is it. He locked up, in fact, going into this corner and just went directly into that Tag Heuer barrier. I don't know if even that's how you say it, Tag Heuer, but anyway, yeah. He went into that barrier over there after locking up, and the red flag has been deployed because there's a front wing on the racetrack. So, yeah. Oh, in fact, I was driving the Mercedes car when I was doing this onboard lap as well. So that's pretty funny. But yeah, regardless, George Russell, he clipped this. He was going into this braking zone, locked up into the barriers, and that was that. All right. Yeah. It's practice 2. Indeed, it is just practice 2, and he has locked up. Replacing the front wing shouldn't be too much of a problem. The nose cone replacements are probably the most common upgrades that we're going to see. But yeah. Okay. Norris only 7 milliseconds off. Yeah, I mean, if he, oh, actually, he didn't lock up. He locked his rears. Oh, that's interesting. I'll just to clarify there, then, folks. Let me get up the onboard. It was around about here. No, yes. So going into this corner, what did George Russell do? I'm guessing he didn't shift his brake balance forward enough. But essentially, what happened was he started hitting the brakes. The rear of his cars, the rear wheels locked up. So as he turned in, the car snapped on him. He corrected the snap, but then went flying into the barriers. So that's what happened there to George Russell. Locked the rears, corrected the snap, but then into the barriers he went. So unfortunate, but it is what it is. They will check the barriers, they'll move the front wing away, and that'll be the end of that for the session. And Russell will be able to take part again. He did drive back into the pits, and because he drove back into the pits, he's allowed to take part. Why red flag the time not paused? It's because in practice sessions they don't pause the time. In qualifying sessions they do, but in practice sessions they don't. It's just sort of the rules set out by the FIA. Okay. Um, yeah, folks, be sure to hit the like button, be sure to subscribe. We've got the track is clear, but the pit lane is currently closed as of this moment in time. We should be getting underway in about 3 or 4 minutes. Not long, though. Yeah, not long. The wall just turned into me, yeah. Is interesting. What year was it that Russell crashed in Singapore? Was it 24 or was it 23? I don't know. But one of the races, Russell crashed at Singapore, and then he went directly into the hashtag Singapore barrier. And, if you spell out Singapore, there is the word gap here, as you can see, just there at the bottom left of the screen, gap. So someone, I saw a meme where it was like, they played Ayrton Senna's clip of, if you no longer go for the gap, you are no longer a racing driver. And then in 2023, George Russell crashed into the barrier and went flying into the barrier headfirst into the gap specifically. So, yeah. George Russell is definitely a racing driver because he went for the gap. All right. So we have got 37 minutes left on the clock. Yellow flags are being deployed because there are marshals just checking the barriers before we get underway. F1 Gamer, did you commentate 2021 Abu Dhabi? I did commentate 2021 Abu Dhabi, but I do have to say, going back 4 years ago, I mean, my voice has changed so much, and also my mic was terrible, and also my commentary was terrible. Like, when you go back and you watch those old videos, or you read those old texts of you, and you just cringe, you're like, oh my god, that was me, like 3 years ago, or whatever. That's exactly what I get, because I'm pretty sure I said, like, I started like spamming the word "oh my god." Like I said it about 7 times in a row after I realized that the Max and Verstappen, Max and Lewis were going to be next to each other for one lap of racing at the end of the race. So yeah, but if you want to, you can go back and listen to my commentary of it. I'm sure it won't be the best commentary you've ever heard, but hopefully, I think I've got better from that point. I hear Singapore's a very nice place to live. Yeah, it does seem quite nice. It's got a, it's sort of a city, isn't it? Pretty much. I don't think it's got much sort of forests or nature or stuff like that. But yeah, you even played the Supermax song after that result. Indeed, I did. Back when the Supermax song wasn't copyrighted, I played the Supermax song after Max won in 2021 on my stream. So yeah. All right. Can you please speak a little louder? Yeah, I will actually. I have figured out that I do have a few more settings to play with to make my audio sound a little bit louder. So I'll be making those changes over the coming days to make everything work ever so slightly better. And yeah, as of right now, I'm just holding my mic pretty close to my face. You'll find out, once we do the face reveal on Sunday. We are getting pretty close to 198k subs there, folks. Thanks everyone for subscribing. I don't know why we're taking so long with the red flag. I mean, it is just the most average FIA moment ever. Isn't it? We've got literally just a piece of carbon fiber. George Russell's front wing is on the track, and that's it. So I don't know why it's taken so long to go back out onto the track. But here we are. Either way, I think that's about it, really. Any more questions here, folks? Any more questions on that I should answer? Since I've got a bit more time and nothing to really commentate about, let me know and I'll do my best to answer all of these questions. Session's resuming in 4 minutes time, folks. 4 minutes time. I'll just stick a timer up on the screen for you, folks. All right. Starts in. Fantastic. FP2 restarts in 3 minutes and 15 seconds. Tyre wear around Singapore. Tyre wear is relatively high around this circuit, actually, because we do have the softest tyres that Pirelli... Well, actually not the softest. We've got the C5, the C4, the C3. We didn't bring the C6 this weekend because it is quite likely to overheat around Singapore, given it's in quite a tropical region of the world, and it does tend to get pretty hot. And... yeah, but regardless, the tyre wear is pretty high, the undercut's pretty powerful, and the pit stop time has been reduced from 24 seconds last year to 18 seconds this year because the pit lane speed limit has gone up. Do you think Lewis will be on the podium this weekend? Oh, I mean, it's tough to say. I would like to see a Lewis get a podium, but I don't know if it's really going to happen, to be honest. Yeah, unfortunately. What's my favorite pizza? I'm gonna be a bit boring, but the sort of the cheese and tomato, the basic one. I think I quite like that. What about pineapple on pizza, folks? Are we gonna have a big argument in the chat about pineapple on pizza? Wasn't there rumours about this race being hot? Yes, there was. There was a heat hazard warning that was issued regarding the race being too hot, and the drivers may have to use their cooling vests. So essentially what it is the cooling vest that the drivers have. It's quite an interesting system, but essentially it sort of fits somewhere in the cockpit, and what it does, it takes cool air from the outside world, and they essentially are water cooling the drivers. They've got these they wear this vest that has got a bunch of water flowing through it, and it flows around the drivers. It warms up because it absorbs the heat from the driver, and then it goes into this radiator where it gets a bunch of air blown through it, which then cools it down again, and then it flows back around the driver. So a pretty standard sort of like a cooling system. But yeah, the drivers would be getting water cooled if they do wear that cooling vest type of thing. Mario is up to hill to go. Do not do a face reveal. Better to stay anonymous. Well, thank you for the donation. And to be honest, I have been thinking about it, and maybe I'll do a face reveal, and the Singapore Grand Prix might just be the one stream though you get to see my face. But I still haven't decided whether I'm going to do face webcam streams for for every single race till the end of the season and stuff like that. So maybe I'll just do it for the races and not do it for practice sessions. Maybe I'll do it for just qualifyings and the races. Still a little bit undecided, really. I guess it just depends on how the face reveal goes tomorrow, and yeah, who knows. A bunch of water. Sorry, how? They're essentially how it is that they wear a cooling vest, and inside the vest there's a layer of fabric that touches the drivers, and then there's a bunch of tubing that's attached to this fabric, and what it does is the water the tubing just cools down the fabric then cools down the driver, and that's essentially sort of how it works. Like, there's a bunch of tubes inside this cooling vest that they wear, and that's what keeps them cool. Okay. What if you do a face reveal and immediately lose 100k subscribers? Well, I don't know then. I guess that'll be the end of the channel then, won't it? No, I don't know. Oh, there we go, folks. FP2 is back underway. We have got drivers back out on the track. Brilliant. They wear dry ice packs as well on their vest. Yeah, they do. So that's the sort of like one-off solution, because they can wear dry ice before the race begins, and then of course but the problem is the dry ice eventually is going to stop working, and at that point then they're just sitting with a bunch of dry ice around them, and it's not very comfortable. So it stops working after about 15 minutes or so after the dry ice disappears. Well, it doesn't sit around after it evaporates into carbon dioxide, but either way, like, it's not the most effective cooling solution for a long period of time. For the 15 minutes before the race, yeah, wearing a dry ice vest would be fantastic. But for the 1.5 hour, 2 hour race, that's when you need a full-on cooling vest. Thomas Lord, I think the fans want to know if you have a girlfriend. Well, I think that's gonna stay private. Like my name's gonna stay private. My name is still F1 Gamer, as you know. But thanks for letting me know there, Thomas Lord. Yeah. All right. F1 Gamer, what are those two dots on the track? The dots on the tracks are the DRS detection points. So if you are within 1 second of the driver ahead of you at this green dot here, then you'll get DRS through this DRS zone, and you'll also get DRS through the next DRS zone. Same thing for this dot here, just on the exit of turn number 4, and also the same thing for this dot here, just when Nico Hulkenberg is passing by. So if you're within 1 second of the driver ahead of you at this point, then you'll get DRS for the next DRS zone. Yeah. Folks. Singapore Airport is the first place in safety airport, or maybe it is. I think Singapore Airport is quite. It's got like an indoor waterfall or something. I don't know. It seems like a cool place to go. All right, we have got purple first sector there from Lewis Hamilton, actually looking pretty racy indeed. Who needs women when you get 200k subscribers? That is perfect, isn't it? Yeah. All right. Very true. Very well said, Multi Ninja. Folks. Yes, it does. It also has a garden as well. Oh, interesting. All right. 4 DRS sections, 3 detection points. Yeah, the first this DRS detection point at turn number 12, that is for both DRS zones. So it's also for the DRS zone between turn number 13 and 14, but then also the DRS zone between turn number 14 and turn number 16. So, yeah. Oh, Fernando Alonso looks to be going quick here. All right, folks, do you think Fernando Alonso is going to be getting top of the times here? Because he's just gone purple in the first sector, and his middle sector is looking pretty good so far. So, well, I guess we'll see what happens. Esteban Ocon is still currently top of the times, which is incredible to say the least, really. Esty Bestie Esteban Ocon, first position. Fantastic job from him. Liam Lawson, purple in the middle sector. That's quickly taken away by Fernando Alonso, the GOAT, the rookie. Simply lovely there from Alonso so far. Oh, yellow flag. Is that for Stroll? Is that yellow flag for Stroll? Oh, no, that's just cancelled Alonso's lap. Liam Lawson, what are you doing, man? You've just stopped on the side of the circuit. What has happened there to Liam Lawson? Double yellows are out. Alonso's had to back out of his lap. Lawson stopped on the side of the circuit, and looks like there's some debris on the track. Oh, that is so boring. All right, well, let's have a look at the theoretical best lap times then. If Alonso had a good final sector, then that would have put him up in... Oh my God! If Alonso would have had a good final sector, he would have actually been half a second clear of Esteban Ocon. He would have been in first position by a half a sec. Oh my God! Liam Lawson has lost an entire wheel. He's doing a Lightning McQueen impression driving back to the pits. He's scraping and scratching everything, every piece of carbon fibre on the bottom of that car. And he looks like he may have even set some carbon fibre on fire. But yeah, I just got the replay here, folks. And Liam Lawson has brought out the red flag because he has... yeah, he's hit the barrier on the exit of... I think it's either on the entry to turn 18 or maybe on the exit of turn 17. Just ripped the entire front left wheel off, front left tire off, sorry. And then he was trying to get it back into the pits, but he couldn't. And he's just scratched just scratched everything up, to be honest. Everything has been scratched up. And not ideal for Liam Lawson there. And that might take a little bit longer to clear up, to be honest. There's quite a bit of debris there, and it does look like it was on the exit of turn number 17. So let's get the replay up. Where is my onboard? Here we go. All right, so let's just get forward. Okay, all right, so yeah, he's just going through here, and in fact, even I hit the barrier on the exit there. Of course, I'm not a professional Formula 1 driver, but yeah, just this Salesforce barrier here on the right-hand side. Liam Lawson drives into that, damages his front right wheel, and it just comes flying off. The tyre itself comes off, the wheel is still attached. But yeah, and then he scratches his car all the way to the pit lane entry. You can see the pit lane entry there on the left-hand side. And he stops just about here, but he's scratched his entire floor. He should have stopped pretty much ASAP, but I'm sure his mechanics will not be happy about that one. That he's just carried on going. Maybe he had no brakes. You know, of course, one of his wheels has come off, so that's going to hinder his braking performance, to say the least. But a lot of sparks, a lot of carbon fibre, and a lot of damage for Lawson. But he has done a Lightning McQueen impression, and... I think that's... I'd give him 5 points for that, actually. Yeah, 5 points for Liam Lawson for his Lightning McQueen impression. Quali will just be a red flag fest. Well, I'm sure it can't be more of a red flag fest than Baku. Baku was pretty bad. In fact, had the record for the most red flags that has ever happened. So... yeah. Timer, unfortunately, doesn't stop in practice, folks. The timer is just going to carry on ticking down, and the driver's going to get less and less running. Okay. Lawson equals Brendan Hartley by Kiwis. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, you know, Brendan Hartley didn't also have the best... best running. He didn't have the best luck as well, to be honest. Quite often did Brendan Hartley, you know, so quite a few times he got suspension issues, just like DRS failures and stuff like that that compromised him. So yeah. Okie dokes. It's going to be so weird to have Bottas and Sergio on this next year. It'll be good. Yeah, it will be good, actually. I also don't know how I'm going to fit an extra 2 drivers on the data. I'm going to have to do a lot of fiddling around with stuff to try and fit 2 more drivers onto the screen. It's already a pretty tight fit, and I've realised that when I do put a webcam on, I'm probably going to get rid of like the bottom two team radios. You can see there where Sainz's radio is at the bottom right, and Lewis Hamilton's radio is also at the bottom right. I'm probably going to have to get rid of those radios as well to fit my face in. But yeah, running very tight for space here. All right. But yeah, as I'd just like to reiterate, as I said a little bit earlier on, if Fernando Alonso didn't have his lap ruined there by Liam Lawson bringing out the yellow flag and then the red flag and everything, then what will have happened is that Fernando Alonso would have went up into first position with an extra half a second or so. So, yeah. One column of team radios. Yeah, I mean, I'll sort of see how it works. And of course, we can always change stuff if it doesn't work. I can always get rid of the webcam. Um, I'll do a poll for the webcam. Um, maybe, yeah. Who knows? But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'm not really sure if I should do it or not, but still a little bit. I'll definitely do a face reveal. I don't know if I'm gonna have a webcam every single stream, for every single. Because also some of the races are at like 3 a.m. in the morning, which at 3 a.m. in the morning I don't really want to be having a webcam on. And ideally, in fact, I have done. I think it was what was it? China, I think, the Chinese Grand Prix. One of the practice sessions was genuinely at like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. or something, and I remember I commentated that one in the dark. Like I had turned all of my laptop's brightness down to zero. I turned my monitor's brightness down to zero. I didn't even have the lights on in my room, and I was commentating in the dark. So there's no way I'm gonna have a webcam on for that, because you're just not gonna be able to see me. But yeah, we'll work something out. I think it'll be okay. That's doing all right there. It's only practice, but looking like a better weekend so far. Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be definitely an interesting one for Haas. They are still quite far down the point standings, to be honest. If we do bring up the Constructors' Championship, they are down there in ninth position, 44 points off the back of well, they've got 44 points to their name, and they'll be looking to get ahead of Kick Sauber, maybe. Kick Sauber, they had a pretty good run at the start of the season, and then, of course, with Hulkenberg's podium, that really helped them out. But, yeah, Haas still have a shot of actually getting ahead of Kick Sauber if they can get a few good races together. So, we'll see what they can do. I'm going to have a quick sip of water. Okay. Um, What else have we got then? The wind, not particularly significant this weekend, 5.4 kilometers per hour, but yeah, not really too windy around there, around in Singapore. I think if it starts raining, then the thunderstorms and stuff will pick up the wind a lot more. But as of right now, it's not too much of a concern. Lawson's all right, but he's crashed his car. It's currently up on a crane right now, so it's getting pushed back into the pits. Well, it's getting lifted back up into the pits at this current moment. And yeah, he will not be able to take part for the rest of FP2. I mean, there's not really that much left. There'll be about 15 minutes left once the green flag gets underway. But yeah. On some races, you can use a webcam for the start of the few laps and then show the radio and switch the webcam on. Yeah, I think it'll have a good, maybe mix it around a bit. A good middle ground somewhere here and there. I'll have a think about it, and of course I'll ask you guys as well. You guys are the people that are watching my streams. You guys are the people that are subscribing, hitting the like button, saying in donations. I'm not just gonna do what I want to do. I'm gonna ask you guys what you think, what your opinion is, and then we'll work something out from there. Yeah. It's no, it's not three DRS zones actually, folks. Here it's four DRS zones. This one has just been disabled here, but as you can see, yeah, we've got one DRS zone down here. We got another one down the main straight, which has also been disabled due to this yellow flag. So you can see here that this is a DRS zone that is enabled with all the green, and then when it's been disabled because of yellow flags, it goes grey. So we've got one down the main straight, one down this back straight, and then these are the two between turn number 14 and 16. Yeah. Um, Here comes the Haas to plan. Yeah, well, I mean, we'll see what Haas does. Maybe they will end up just top of the times, if the red flag continues on indefinitely. But no, the marshals are already on the circuit. They're already cleaning away all the carbon fiber. They're picking up the tiny little parts, taking it away as a little souvenir as well. Yeah. Alrighty. So here we go then. 15 minutes left on the clock, to be honest. We're back here with the F1 Gamer podcast, to be honest. F1 Gamer podcast. We had quite a big episode of the F1 Gamer podcast in Baku with all of the red flags during the qualifying sessions. But we're back now. 2 red flags now so far in this free practice 2 session. Don't do the face reveal once the genie's out of the bottle. It can't be undone. Better to keep your anonymity. Yeah, yeah. I mean, honestly, I've been thinking about this for a while. Over the course of what I must have been thinking about this for over the course of a year and a half or so. So, I have thought about it, and weighed up my options. Why is there a yellow? There's debris on the circuit. There's carbon fiber and stuff like that over there. And they're just checking the barriers before we get underway. Yeah. F1 Gamer, do you do YouTube full time? No, I'd say a part time YouTuber. I only really do YouTube on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. No, and then on the rest of the time, I'm doing university work. In fact, yeah, there's a health and safety university lecture going on right now, which I probably should be attending, but you know, I can just watch it back later. So, and also, who really cares about health and safety? You know what I mean? Yeah. They took out the section that PK crashed because yeah. Okay. Um, you could turn on the webcam, but I could be wearing a Fernando Alonso mask. Yeah, maybe I am wearing a Fernando Alonso mask. Maybe I am Fernando Alonso's secret twin brother. Did you know that Alonso has a twin brother? I bet you didn't. I guess you found out right now, didn't you? Yeah, the FP stands for free practice, so FP2 is free practice 2. And oh, there we go, folks. We've got the session is restarting in about 40 seconds. You can see there, just coming through on the radio messages. For Alonso's just said you have 45 seconds. So there we go. We're going to be getting 13 minutes or so of running in the end of FP2. Yeah. If you don't mind asking, what's my major? My major is mechanical engineering. Mechanical engineering, yeah. You're a student. I thought you were 28. Oh no, well, maybe my voice is just that deep. Oh, is this Lando Norris? Lando Norris has oh no, Lando Norris has nearly crashed into the pit lane. He's crashed into the pit wall. Oh no, is he damaged his carbon fiber? He has. He's damaged his front wing in these. Lando Norris, what's he done there? Or maybe it was the Ferrari team's fault. I'm not sure, but Norris is now being pushed back into the pit lane, back into the garage actually, because he has crashed into. Well, not crashed, but had some sort of problem. Leclerc hit Lando. Okay, well, that's what someone has said in the chat. I'll get the replay up shortly, but it looks like Lando's got some front wing damage. Well, I'm sure it wasn't actually Charles's fault. The way that it works is the mechanics, they give Charles Leclerc the signal, all right, time to come out of the pits, and they clearly weren't looking at if Lando Norris was coming out of the pits as well. So we'll get a replay shortly. But oh no, it was definitely Leclerc that crashed into Lando Norris. Yeah, unsafe release. And yeah, so Norris hasn't crashed. Norris got crashed into by Charles Leclerc. Um, Average Ferrari moment, shall we say? Average Ferrari moment. Yeah. All right, 11 minutes left on the clock. Everyone's coming out on soft tyres. We're getting some quick laps in. Okie dokes. This is good to see. I think the F1 Gamer podcast has been running on a little bit too long, to be honest. I'm also running out of things to talk about because I used most of the things up during the Baku quali session. So run out of trivia and fun facts. So Lando should have taken the rubber duck. I don't know what's this rubber duck thing that you guys are talking about. I don't know what this rubber duck thing is. But be sure to let me know. I'd start recycling my fun facts. Yeah, but then that would be a bit boring, For the people that have been watching, there are quite a lot of people that have still been here since 2021, who I'm sure have probably heard me say please like and subscribe about 10,000 times, and they still watch the stream. So I've got to say big thank you to you guys. I mean, big thank you to everyone that listens to me say like and subscribe, even though they've already done it about 1,000 times. So, yeah, very much is appreciated, and yeah. It's still sort of mind blowing, We're getting to the stage at 2,000, 200,000 subscribers. Like, that is multiple football stadiums. Like, that could be a size of a town. Yeah, we could have a town of F1 gamer fans. Kind of wild. Oh, the F1 gave rubber ducks to their drivers in one of their YouTube videos. Oh, okay. Oh, interesting. All those that didn't take the rubber duck crashed. Oh, okay. Oh, Isaac Hadjar up into first position. He's half a tenth up on Esteban Ocon. Nice to see. Here comes Max Verstappen starting a flying lap. Franco Colapinto up into 17th. Now comes Esteban. Oh, no. Yellow flag. Okay, all right, never mind. Bortoletto had a very momentary issue. Managed to keep going, but a yellow flag was deployed. I was about to say, are we going to get another red flag? But there we are. All right. Okay, so looking good so far. We've got 8,000 people tuned in. Thanks everyone for tuning in, by the way. Be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe. Goes a long way to helping out the channel. Wait, I've just said it again. I mean, obviously, there's no point even counting the amount of times I've said it. It's probably on average like, I don't know, maybe I say it once every 10 minutes or so, once every 5 minutes. Who knows? All right. Alex Albon up into 9th position. Then, Fernando Alonso's back on his quick lap. He was purple in the first sector, ever so slightly slower in the middle sector. Verstappen goes quicker in the middle sector, but here comes Fernando Alonso regardless. Where's he going to go? L plan, is it working? Indeed it is. Half the second clear again from Fernando Alonso. This man is unstoppable, but, well, maybe he can be stopped by Max Verstappen, of course. Here comes Max then through turn number 18 and 19. 2 corners remain for that racing Red Bull car, not Racing Bull car, and first position it is by only 20 milliseconds though. You've got to admit, very, very close there between Fernando Alonso and Max Verstappen, and they're both on the same sort of used tyres as well. Yeah, so if we look and hook up all of the best sectors between these two drivers, then Max Verstappen is ever so slightly quicker. Stroll's in third position as well. Oh my god, he's still half a second back, but he's still there in third. I'm sure a lot more people are going to just fit into that slot pretty quick. In fact, how's Charles Leclerc in fifth? He's 6/10 off the pace, and that was a fresh set of soft tires as well for Charles Leclerc. That wasn't a used set. Interesting. My town has 1,400 people. Okay, maybe it could be a city then. We could have a city of F1 gamer fans. I don't know. I don't know. There's not really a threshold, no. For like, if you're over a certain number, then you become a city automatically or something. We could just have a very big town, but either way, Aston Martin are cooking, and they're in second and third position, and here comes Lewis Hamilton then. His first sector, not all that amazing. Second sector, also not all that amazing. And it looks like he's gone into the pits after aborting his lap. Sonoda is also aborted his lap. Yeah, a lot of drivers aborting laps, actually. Okay. Piastri can't cope with the pressure. I mean, he's had one crash here, folks. I would like to, a lot of people talk about this pressure thing, and I think a lot of people are unnecessarily harsh on Lando Norris, but Piastri also, like, he's been dealing with pressure fantastically, and then had one crash in Baku, and then 42 races before that, hasn't had a single race where he didn't finish in the points or something. So, you've got to cut the guy some slack, I'd say. And he is looking pretty quick, actually, because he's now second fastest in the second sector. Fun fact, Alonso has raced in 38.4% of all F1 races. Yeah, that was the other thing. Like, F175 was a thing that it's been pretty recent. In fact, no, F175 is this year, right? So Fernando Alonso started racing, what was it, in 2001, I think, was Alonso's first season. So Fernando Alonso has literally raced in 1/3 of the years of Formula One's history. Like, Fernando Alonso is Formula One history. Yeah. All right, Piastri goes up into first position, a 10th clear of Max Verstappen. Very nice. 3 crashes in Baku. Yeah, he did actually have 3 crashes in Baku. Yeah. So maybe we're back to P1 Astri. We'll see how it goes. Is Russell not coming out now? I don't know what's going on, actually, with George Russell. But he's only done 6 laps on those mediums and hasn't really... Maybe he's had some issues or something, I'm not sure. But a bit strange that he hasn't come out onto the circuit when literally everyone else is out on the circuit. Lawson, of course, isn't, but that's because he crashed. So... F1 Gamer, you got a cold, you're sounding different today. Well, thank you for asking, but no, no, my nose isn't really that blocked. But the thing is, I've moved from my parents' house to university, because university starts in around September, October time in the UK. So I haven't got as much sort of like sound padding in this house. So like there's a lot more echoes and stuff like that, which makes my voice sound ever so slightly different. But it's good that you guys even noticed that. I think that's kind of cool. But yeah, thanks for asking. Okie dokes then. So we are 3 minutes away from the end of free practice 2. Currently, we've got Oscar Piastri first in the timings, Max Verstappen second, Fernando Alonso third, Carlos Sainz is in 4th position. But also, I'd like to point out just such a big gap there. Piastri, Verstappen, Alonso are within a 10th and a half of each other. And then you've got a 4/10 of a second gap all the way to Sainz, and then another 10th to Stroll. Like, the field is not really that close by the looks of it, in FP2 at least, because Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton look really off the pace. Antonelli is nowhere to be seen. Russell's still in the pits. So yeah, the Mercs aren't anywhere close. The Ferraris are nowhere close. So quite the big gap there, actually. Yeah. Hey F1 Gamer, for viewers who want to watch the official video feed but listen to your live reaction, what is the recommended setup to get the audio in sync? The recommended setup is, what you do is, whichever footage is ahead, you'll have the timer up on the screen. So you can see there on the bottom left of my live stream, you've got the timer of 2 minutes 30, 2 minutes 29. Whichever one is ahead, you just pause that one and you wait for both the timers to sync up, and then you just unpause them, and once they're synced up, then you can listen to me, and then my reactions are in sync. Yeah. But that's the best way to do it. I think most people do it that way. I think that's how I would do it if I had to get it in sync. So that's just sort of the normal procedure, really. Yeah. Also, folks, we are, 99 subscribers away? We are 99 subscribers away from 198k. So, folks, if you have not hit the subscribe button, be sure to do so. With 2 minutes left on the clock, hopefully we can hit 198k subs today. Lando Norris improves up into 4th position. Esteban Ocon also up into 5th. But Norris is still half a second back from Piastri, actually. Surprising. Norris was looking quite a bit quicker, especially in the middle sector for a whole of FP1. But Piastri's managed to put a lap together completely. Isaac Hadjar, what a final sector, man. And he goes a 10th back from Oscar Piastri. So pretty solid there from Hadjar. Yeah. Okay. Why did Hamilton abort his lap? I must have made a mistake again. No, surely that's the only sort of reason that I can think of aborting a lap for. Ferrari definitely are in no position to be sandbagging because I don't think they're going to be winning the race anyway. Unless, there's a lot of chaos and stuff like that. Maybe he's overheating his tyres or something. Like, I'm not exactly sure. It's not the most ideal situation, is it? Okay. Yeah, so I'll read out the standings, actually. I don't think we're going to have... Actually, we've still got quite a few people improving here. Here comes Bortoletto, and we've also got... who else is on a flying lap? Colapinto is... Also, I don't know what Colapinto is doing and how he's still in Formula 1. Well, okay. No, I know how he's still in Formula 1 is because he's got a lot of sponsor money behind him. But... yeah, I would have expected Alpine to sort of figure something else out because Colapinto's performances really haven't been all that good. And, he got signed on a 5-year contract or whatever. And then, yeah, just not a 5-year contract, a 5-race contract. And then after those 5 races finished, they were just like, oh, yeah, we'll just carry on. Why not? Which was quite interesting. Hamilton got a bunch of understeer around turn 14. Okay, well, that must be what it is then, yeah. Turn 14 is a bit of a tricky one, actually, because at that point in the lap, you have got, you go through turn 11, 12, 13, 14, very constantly flowing sequence of corners. You're pretty much always steering, and... you're also never fully on the throttle for this part of the section. It's very tight and twisty, but you do load up your front tires quite a bit. They overheat quite a lot. And then the other thing is going into turn 14, because it's a straight line braking, you can shift your brake balance forward. So if you shift your brake balance forward, you sort of your front tires have a limited amount of grip. And let's say the more you shift your brake balance forward, you can use less grip to actually turn the car and more grip for braking performance. So I think Hamilton, all he probably needs to do is drop the brake balancer back probably 1 or 2 clicks, and he should be fine. I explained that in quite possibly the worst way possible, but essentially the further forward you brake bias, the more likely you are to understeer. So yeah, Hamilton's just got to turn the brake balance back a little bit. Yeah. I think that is about. I think that's about it, really. So, just read out the standings. We've got Piastri up there in first position, Isaac Hadjar in second. He is at risk of getting demoted to the Red Bull team, so he's got to be careful there. I don't know what he's doing. But we got Max there in third, Fernando Alonso in fourth position, Lando Norris is in fifth, about half a second back from Oscar Piastri. Stroll in sixth, Ocon in seventh. Then we've got Sainz in eighth, Leclerc and Hamilton in ninth and 10th. I don't know what's going on there. Hamilton is on a flying lap, hasn't aborted it yet. In fact, let's see what he does when he comes across the line now. Or is he going to abort again? He's driving pretty slowly, and oh no, he is continuing on. Okay, at least I think he is, but I can't really tell. Either way, I think he's driving. Yeah, he's driving too slow, actually. Let's just have a look at his theoretical best lap time. If Hamilton hooked up all of his sectors and didn't abort the final sector for whatever reason, then he would put himself up in 5th position, actually. He'd be ahead of Lando Norris. So all of you Hamilton folks out there, all you Ferrari fans out there, if Hamilton didn't abort his final sector, he would have been up there in 5th position. So Ferrari still do have pace this weekend. For whatever reason, practice has been a bit of a struggle for them. We've got Tsunoda in 11th, Behrman 12th, Albon 13th, Hulkenberg 14th, Bortoletto 15th, Gasly 16th, Lawson 17th, Antonelli 19th, Antonelli 18th, Colapinto 19th, and George Russell in 20th. So that is that, folks. That is that. So thank you all for tuning in. It's been a pleasure commentating to you guys. We are getting pretty close to our subscriber target. It looks like we'll probably hit 200k by Sunday, which would be very, very nice. But I think that's all from me then. Yeah, have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, or night, depending on where you are in the world. And I'm going to end the stream now. I'll take you over to the qualifying stream. Just hit the like button for the quali stream, and I hope to see you there. And qualifying, so whatever time it is in the world for you right now, if you go back 1 hour, that is when qualifying starts tomorrow. So be sure to tune in for that. But I think that's all from me. And yeah, see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye, folks.